Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive. For those of you who are new here, my name is Erin. For those of you who are returning, I am so delighted that you are taking quantum leaps with me and I can be part of your journey as you take quantum leaps. This is very evident. They're showing me a bullseye in the room. It's significant for somebody on here to recognize we're here for quantum leaps. We're here for unpacking things. Oh, now I understand. So there's been this energy that's floating around, and I knew intuitively it wasn't mine, it was an external energy, but I also felt like pushed to hop on here and share a message because this is for one of you beautiful viewers, and it may not be for everybody, but of course, as all of you know on this channel, sometimes we're channeling messages from our guides. Sometimes we're bringing down higher dimensional wisdom. Sometimes we're connecting with people who are connected to you to help move you through that process or to have an understanding. So somebody is hitting rock bottom, and this is somebody connected to whoever this message is for. They're connected to you in some way. They're hitting rock bottom, and all of their goblins are in the way. So hopefully that will zoom in for you guys. So there's a goblin card. I was told to use the Enchanted Map deck. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's by Colette Baron Reed. Notice that goblins is 5, the little goblins, whether this is, take it out resonates, thought processes that are coming up for you. I'm hearing jealousy, lack, anger. That was the energy that kept coming through. And underneath it is rock bottom. And somebody is hitting rock bottom and all of their goblins are, I'm seeing it's like they're at the bottom and all of their goblins are there and they are pissed. That's what I'm hearing, pissed. Somebody is very, very angry. And why are we sharing this, Spirit? Okay, I'm just going to listen to whoever's guide this is and somebody's higher self. You ask for a message of confirmation to know if you've gone the right way or made the right choice. Your choice point, your choice is correct. This is not about your choice point. We are sharing this information to help you sustain and maintain your choice point of the elevated quantum leap that you've taken. As you encounter energies that recognize that you are leaping onto that other timeline, you may be presented or simply sense, like intuitively, sense the anger and the projections of other people's anger. Relationally, they used you as the jumping point to affirm who they were, what they were, why they were right, how they got their energy. However, what they didn't realize is you're not their punching bag. You're not their reflection of who they are. Sorry, you're not a reflection. How do I want to say that, Spirit? They're saying that's correct. Keep going, and they're saying error, but correct. There's like this yes, no energy. Got it, Spirit. This is not about your energy. It's about the person connected to you who's in a deep inner conflict of, it's like they love you and they freaking hate you. They love you, but they hate all the things about themselves and they project it towards you as if they hate you. It's an internal conflict that's not your responsibility, but to the one who is quantum leaping. Taking control of your life, really mastering your focus, leaning into that high vibrational, beautiful, epic energy that you know you came for. Starseed and a star warrior is coming through. Also a protector energy. Okay, so let's just it feels like these are the energies that are kind of filtering around the energetic fields, the morphic field. So some people look at the subtle energy bodies as the morphic genetic field, or everybody has a little slightly different term for it. It is what it is. This isn't something that you need to worry about. I'm seeing a lion. And what I mean by that is, you don't need to fear that energy, nor do you need to entertain it. Sometimes you're only sensing it because it's of value for you to understand the different vibrational factors, and so that you can see clearly in the unseen whose energy it truly is. I'm seeing somebody paste a smile on their face, and yet their smile is false. And I really feel like this is important because if you tune into the energy versus what appears to be the illusion or what appears to be put in front of you, you're going to discover the truth. I'm seeing truth written in big letters. You will discover the truth when you tune into the vibrational factors, the energy, the frequency, and your intuition. This is simply an indicator to the one who is quantum leaping that yes, indeed you are. This is simply an acknowledgement of an energy. It is not telling you to go back. It is not asking you to retrace your step or repattern. It's actually asking you to simply acknowledge what existed for you when you entertained that timeline. So powerful. And here's why they're saying this is true for whoever this message is for. The person with the intense, super deep anger appears to be angry at you and projects their anger. They're not actually angry at you. The truth of the matter is, they are angry at themselves, angry that they are not what they perceive you to be, angry that they misunderstood, they're angry with themselves. It doesn't matter what it's about, whatever their patterning is or wounds or lacks, it doesn't matter. It appears that they're angry at you because that's where they're directing it out to, but they're projecting it to you because you're the reflection of the thing that they're angry at themselves for not being, not doing, not having, or don't want to look at themselves about. And the last one is much more poignant than the other ones. They're angry because they do not want to look at this aspect of themselves. And so they're projecting it at you, because if they maintain the anger at you, then it's almost like in their minds, they're maintaining this reality or this belief and don't have to look at that piece of themselves. And I'm just seeing tower moments left, right, and center. Now, collectively, I know that this is a message for somebody very specifically. Let me know if it's resonating for you in the comments. But collectively, this is going to be, or is, correction, they're saying already is, a common narrative. And it's only getting louder as more and more empaths take back their power or simply say no to accepting those projections and the words spoken at them, over them, to them, and through them. It's gone on for too long. And there's just like this collective consciousness, the raising of consciousness when the codependent, like co-dependent is cohabitating, co-creating. You are co-creating in codependency, a dependency for somebody else to be responsible for you or to negate responsibility from you. So we're exiting that, is what I'm hearing. I feel like I've said this message before, but they're bringing it up in great detail right now because of this angry energy that somebody here has quantum leaped. You've already had this quantum leap, but you may just be sensing the residue of others' angry projections. Ooh, I'm hearing this is about commitments. You made a new commitment, which catapulted you into a quantum leap or your highest timeline. Through that new commitment that you made, says Venus, this effectively canceled, ripped up, threw out the old contracts that had been previously created by you, knowingly or unknowingly, with others to maintain lower timelines. But the second you decided you were choosing this highest contract with yourself, because all contracts that you make stem from the main contract you have with yourself. The moment you chose this contract and committed to it, you effectively quantum leaped the momentum and trajectory. The path began to unfold. Any contracts that had still been lingering or in play, those are the energies that you're sensing right now. And all it is this choice point, right? We make a choice point and we move towards that timeline, or the energy shifts toward it because you're making that choice point from the higher vibration, which effectively results in a quantum leap because you're moving totally committed. However, I'm hearing and seeing the balancing act in reverse. Sometimes when we make a quantum leap like that and it's a choice point, I have another video coming up. I recorded it a few months ago, but I just felt like this pushback that it wasn't really time to share it. And I feel like it perfectly, wow, I did not see that coming. It's perfect right now to follow this particular message. Whoa, I did not see that coming. Spirit is saying sometimes we deliver messages when the energy is aligned to receive the message, but it's not ready for the message to be received by the receiver. And I'm hearing Pretenders. Now, I know that's a music group, the Pretenders, but I'm hearing the Pretender. You're going to illuminate the pretender. through these messages or channels. Wow, I do not know how that's going. And I'm also seeing the Joker face. I'm also hearing about a trickster energy. It's going to illuminate the pretender, the jokester, and the trickster energy. And once you do this quantum leap, the issue is not whether or not you can or cannot quantum leap. It's simply a committed choice that you make, mind, body, and spirit, from a moment of deep clarity. And in that choice point, you get catapulted. Jumping a timeline is the easiest thing in the world. In fact, we're doing it all the time. We just don't really attune to it that way. We think it's this big quantum physics, highly spiritual thing we do, but we're actually doing it all the time. We'll talk about that more deeply on another channel, just to kind of give the nuts and bolts of it. But sustaining the new timeline you quantum leap to is actually of more relevance right now during this time frame than it is jumping timelines. I feel like it's kind of getting blah, 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 blah. And I feel like it's because we touched on that energy. And that energy, it's not that we touched on it, it's being delivered to, oh my goodness, here's what I'm hearing. It's being delivered to me so that I can evaluate, deconstruct it, lay it out in the open, and share it for whoever is needing to hear that process. Got it. Thank you, Spirit. And they're saying, and it's going to be okay. Fascinating. So when you do a quantum leap, which somebody has, there's like this bumpy feeling of balancing act that happens when these anger from old contracts or people who want you to maintain codependent contracts to co-create that reality with them because they still are in it and they want to sustain and maintain it. And that's totally their choice. When somebody makes that choice, whether conscious or unconscious, it's because they haven't yet learned whatever they need to. But that doesn't need to hold you back. That doesn't mean you need to re-entertain or re-enter old timelines or to relearn the lesson that you've already overcome and transcended and understand just because they want to create that reality with you. Whoever that message is for, maintain your power, maintain your spiritual authority and sovereignty. Be very mindful of when people attempt to get you to create a different reality with you, or subtly attempt to get you to agree to a contract that isn't in your highest good. May you always know when the truth has been spoken. That's the song lyrics coming through. Very interesting. May you always know when the truth has been spoken. And that is the power of intuition, because it allows you to hear, sense, perceive the real raw truth underneath it all versus what is placed in front of you. And that's powerful. And I'm hearing the BS meter just hit 1,000. Oh my gosh, when you go to the fair and they have those things where you push the hammer down to determine your strength. When you hit the hammer down, forgive me, I don't know what this is called, and the meter goes up to really show you the essence of the strength that you hit the hammer with. Whoever this message is for, it went beyond the top of it, lightning bolt, 1,000% above it. That's how powerful you are. That is how powerful each and every one of you are. So this was a really curious and fascinating message. And I was going to pull cards, but I really don't feel like I need to, but maybe a viewer on here needs it. Ooh. Following the leader, card number 40. Maybe you're turning 40. Come together is the second card underneath it. So follow the leader and come together. One is the number 40. Notice there's a timekeeper. There's a clock on the tree. It's time to come together as leaders or to follow a heart-centered leader. I know everybody, I like to say you're the leader of your own life. You can't lead anybody unless you lead yourself. And how you lead yourself on your internal realms is actually how you lead others. So if you are pretending in your inner self, you are leading from a state of pretending externally as well. I do not know who that message is for, but there's a crown in the middle of that heart of coming together. And that's significant. Crown, king. Maybe you watch the Spiritual Kingmaker channel. I'm not really sure, but time is of the essence. That's the first thing. The timekeepers have already been keeping score. And the timekeeper, I am hearing the world the timekeeper wishes to create is already in process. The time has already begun. There is no time better than right now. Interesting. I'm also noticing one last thing they're pointing out just as I'm looking at this card. Notice to follow the leader. It's not just like it's following the leader to the quantum leap of the time jump. Come to the tree of wisdom. See through time, because time is an illusion, yet we utilize time to be able to quantum leap through time. And notice that it's not just one thing following the leader there. There's multiple different, can't really see the card, but I'm hoping that you guys can on the screen there. There's just a number of different animals in there that are following this winding road, recognizing where the leader truly is, and it's not who they thought it was. But that bird that's just taking flight to follow the path there is actually the bird sitting on top of this heart and the crown. Notice it's 3 hearts as well, the Trinity, and the 2 people coming together create it. And it's also number 8, which is infinity. So it's so fascinating to look at all those interconnections. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Synchronicities are usually very clear indicators that you're in sync. Some of us create our own synchronicities, and normally we go through this process of seeing lots of synchronicities, learning to trust them, learning to follow them, only to recognize that the synchronicities that we think are from the divine are actually markers and guideposts or signs that are specifically for your soul, that you're in sync with your divine purpose, your divine plan. You're in sync, mind, body, and spirit with the path of your life, your internal world and the external world being in sync in a beautiful, harmonious energy. And then you move to a status, I'm hearing, or a state where you begin to create your own synchronicities when you understand the foundational pieces of how synchronicity even works. So some people look to science to logically attune to synchronicity. Some people look to divinity. Everybody has a slightly different pathway to synchronicities, but all pathways lead home, friends. So no pathway is wrong, but I will tell you that the path is always changing. And once you discover one way, or once you have mastered one state of the path or one step, it then has the opportunity to evolve into an even greater understanding. So notice first we learn to trust divine synchronicities. We feel like they're being given to us. Then we step on the next step when we realize, oh, I'm in sync with the divine plan for my life. I'm in harmony with divinity, divine will, and personal will for my own soul's blueprint and destiny. And then you move into the state where you're creating your own synchronicities as confirmation of, yeah, that's the path I want, or no, that's the path I don't want. Some people only use those creating synchronicities as a way to maintain the track, is what I'm hearing. I didn't expect to go into detail about synchronicities on here, but why not? I'm sure it's relevant for somebody on here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be called to speak on it. But there's also the opportunity where you can actually stand at your center point and perceive intuitively the multiple pathways and which pathway you truly want, or what the potential outcome is of the outlay of the path. Now, the person who's quantum leaping on here, you are not going to have the opportunity to see or choose different pathways and see the potential outcomes. You are so far ahead in the unknown of people. Wow, whoever this message is for, you are so far ahead of the rest of consciousness. And it's not because you're better. It's not because everybody else doesn't know things. That's not what this is. So let's remove the egos. But you're so far ahead in terms of consciousnness that it is so unknown that you're actually leading everybody behind you. And the follow the leader card, intuitively, I'm reading it like follow the timekeeper. The timekeeper it's already begun. That's why you're all finding the light at that road. You're all following this pathway. They're really making me feel like this is like a separate message from the first one. They're saying completely separate. And yet the interweavings and interconnectedness can be understood, both from the one who is in the anger, maintaining the state of codependency, but also the one who is so far ahead that they cannot perceive any timelines or outcomes. This is because you are so far ahead of that consciousness. You are in completely the unknown. You actually are so far into the unknown. It requires so much trust and faith in just intuition and the unseen that it's because of you going ahead of the people or ahead of the consciousness or moving ahead so far ahead into the unknown that you end up being the one turning around, and you're the reason all the other people who are just stepping into this synchronicity or just creating their own synchronicities or just learning to tune to the multiple pathways, you're actually the reason that there are even multiple pathways that can be attuned to. There must be someone at the front of the pack who is so deeply trusting in themselves, who is so capable of taking a risk, who is so capable of dealing with any potential failures or any potential wrong pathways, right ways. It's such a deep trust in the self. We require you at the very, very front. I'm saying this out of gratitude for whoever this message is for. We need you to be at the forefront in this totally unknown place, because you're forging in the unknown, and very few people, I'm literally getting excited here. I feel like I'm spitting out of my mouth. Very few people could be in that position. Very few people have enough trust in themselves, have cultivated enough of a foundation that it does not matter where you go. You know you will stand up. You have your mind is so brilliant. Whoever this is, you have a brilliant mind, but your brilliant mind is actually driven by your divine spirit. So whoever this message is, I'm hearing a genius level. It's not a genius level like, oh, I took an aptitude test. No, it has nothing to do with that. You have a brilliant mind that's being utilized by divinity in a very specific way that is very rare. Most people do not understand it, and they're not supposed to, and they're not going to. They can't even fathom or comprehend you way up here that's creating this forging into the unknown where there's no potential timelines that you can see. It's because as you forge into the unknown, it's like new timelines become available behind you for all the people that are following you. This is not where I expected this to go. And on my recording right now, it says 2222. And I had to repeat that, which is interesting because I got excited looking. I was told, look at the timer. And it was at 2222. So maybe 22 is your number. I know that number is very significant for me. But then I had to repeat what I said. So the second time I said it, it was past that. And I don't know why that's important for somebody on here. It's almost like there's a delay in recognition. There's a delay in recognition. And the person who's in the unknown ahead of us, it's like you do things and you have to have complete trust that you're doing it in the way that you're doing it. And you have to have complete trust that even when you can't foresee it, but you know that it's right, that is correct. And that's what creates all these multiple pathways, possibilities, and potentials in the quantum fields for people who are now starting to, they've moved through their, I'm learning to be given synchronicities. Now I'm recognizing I'm in sync and they're my guideposts. Now I'm creating my own synchronicities. The ones who are now creating their own synchronicities, really stepping into their sovereign power, those are actually the people that benefit from you, the one who's up here in the complete unknown where there are no potential pathways in front of you. That's how far ahead of the game you are. You're like creating the game as you go. And I say creating it because you're creating the next level of consciousness, the streams of potentials that are available to the collective consciousness in an awakened way where they're consciously aware of it. And they use their intuition to be consciously aware of it because they're hidden. They're not readily seen. This is such a fascinating message. Can you believe that we went from the person who's trying to sustain an old timeline through anger, through densities, through codependency, because that's the old way we do it, the person who's at the back trying to hang on and cling on to it, to the person who's at the very front where there's nobody there but them. This is like a lone wolf energy that I'm picking up on. And I know that message specifically is not for everybody, but they're saying it's important that we began with the density of the energy showing up, and we complete this message with the person who's already that far ahead. The reason is the person in the middle who's doing the quantum leaping and perceiving the new pathways and trying to sustain their vibration. You need to know what's back there, and you also need to know what's up there. There is people up here, and there's not many of them, but my gosh, we don't need many of them. That's the truth. They say we need this many people in the collective consciousness to tip it. And well, that is true because it's a collective. What's also true is different people play different roles. And we need somebody who is not weighed down by the collective consciousness, who's able to move and forge I'm seeing like there's not even forest there. They're showing me, just to give like a graphic visual detail for you, the energy of this person up ahead. Ooh, why do they need a visual graphic? Oh, they're saying because some viewers need a tangible something to grasp onto. And this is not for the person who's hanging on to codependency. This is for the ones who are now recognizing their sovereign power and are taking the lead in their own lives. This is for the ones who are now suddenly realizing that they can create their own synchronicities, who have graduated and evolved beyond the step of receiving synchronicities from the divine, those who have done a deep soul tilling of the soil, those who are donning a new soul on the souls of their soul. They need to understand that there is one forging ahead of them so far. That is the reason that they have these things available to them. This is also meant to support those who are stepping onto, I say a pedestal, but it's not a pedestal. It's a pedestal of new life where it is deeply protected. Those who are taking their quantum leap for this final phase into their golden era. Your energy goes onto a pedestal so as not to be interfered with old energies, but also so that you don't get too far ahead where you go on a path that you don't actually want to, or go down. I'm hearing it's like, we don't want you to take a detour on this new pathway. You can just go straight ahead. So sometimes we have like this holding, I'm hearing a holding space or a holding sanctuary to ensure that you create forwards. And this person who's way ahead, you need to know that there's somebody way ahead there that's making it possible for you. That's what I'm hearing. Making it possible for you and for all of us. Like, it's a benefit. Everybody's a benefit. Even the person back there who we might think, oh, that person's not a benefit to me, but they are. They're showing you clearly what you don't want to do. And that's a benefit, to be able to see that clearly and to detach from it. It's a benefit to know you're in this holding space right here so that you can create forward. It's a benefit to know that you've gone through this process so that you understand there is method to the madness, my friends. And in all the chaos, there is divine order taking place. There's value in seeing that in this place right here. There's also value in bringing forward or illuminating this person who's so far up ahead. I'm not sure why somebody needed this broken down in this way. I'm just going to trust. Let me know if that's for you, if that's been helpful and it's resonating, or it helps you to put it. I'm hearing somebody just took a piece of their puzzle and put it into place, and now the other pieces around it make sense. So let me know if that's you. I hope that's the case. I trust that it is regardless, but I want to tune to they're saying give a visceral visual for the person who's up ahead before the beginning of time and the end of the beginning. How do I say that, Spirit? Let me just sit with this for a minute, because I feel like it's such an ungraspable energy to find tangible articulations for it, to be able to settle it into a grounded, anchored place, that I just need to take a minute here, because I'm hearing you'll do it justice, Aaron. Don't worry. And that's what I was thinking. I don't want to not do it justice, but I feel like I don't need to worry. I can take little me out of the equation and just roll with the visceral, tangible visual they're giving me. And I feel like that's also a message for somebody on here who's really learning to deeply trust your new expansive spiritual gifts and activations. It's a trust fall, baby. It is a trust fall, my friends, but you'll discover you are learning to deeply trust you, and that is the process. Oh, we'll talk about that little piece afterwards. But so the visceral image, and it's very raw. It's almost like we come to the edge of the world, and there is nothing but vastness. There's nothing but darkness. And this person is standing there. That's where they're standing, where there is zero, zip, zilch, nothing. Now, some people, we think about the void as an empty, vast space. But the truth is, the void is where everything exists and can come into a physical form. So this person who is way ahead of here, they're doing it alone. That's what it feels like. Like they have people around them, but I don't think people understand what it is they're doing. Like, it's not perceivable. It's not perceivable in it. It's so quantum that it's, yeah, I don't know how else to describe that, but we're perceiving it in this moment. So, correction, I take that back. If it was not perceivable, I would not be perceiving it and being given a visual. Therefore, it is unfolding and becoming able to be perceived by certain individuals at the right time for the right reason for the highest spiritual benefit of those who view, those who receive the transmission or the perception. So this person is standing at the edge of the earth plane. There's this huge forest. I'm hearing red forest, like the old redwoods. Maybe that's what it is. But they're huge. They're massive. It's like the oldest forest, the most ancient forest on the earth plane at this time, however you wish to attune to that. But they're standing at the edge, and there is nothing in the timelines ahead. And this beautiful vastness, it's almost like it's the end of the world as we know it, except that this person up here is now breathing, imagining an entirely new outlay moving forward, the new era, the new earth, creating it as they go, using their mind, which as they do this creates multiple other possibilities and pathways behind them. So it's like I'm seeing, notice this is future, the right is the future. Again, Miss Blue Tara. Yes, I know what does this, I'm standing here and this person is at the edge, and here's the ancient forest behind them. And there's a few people dotted just behind them, because as they walk forward and build forward, creating anew in this new earth era, building dimensional structures or making sure they come into play into a tangible physical form, they're creating the world as they go. So this might be a metaphor for some of you, but I'm speaking to a spiritual energy of a master origins, the OG creation and creator, building forwards a new hierarchy, something to that aspect. So take it as it resonates for you tangibly in your everyday life or spiritually, but I am speaking on a very high vibrational, spiritual, bringing it into the form for people to understand in a tangible way to ground it. Got it. Thank you, Spirit. Anyways, as this person creates forward, every step that they take forward is a complete risk, a complete unknown. There is nothing for them to go by, but they must be willing to do that. And it takes great strength, great courage, a genius level mind that is directed by the divine. And I say directed by the divine, not because this person is not a creator of their own world, because they are. They're very much in their power. I say that because they recognize that divinity is what helps them to create the heaven on earth. Why would we create a world without the help of the divine, who knows the best pathways, especially when everything is unknown? This person knows that. They're creating forward. It's like they take one step forward and suddenly a new landscape appears out to the side of them and just in front of them. And then they take a second step forward after they've really formulated, integrated, and the landscape becomes broader, more expanded. Every step that they take forward is completely unknown. There is no way for them to foresee the potential pathways. That's how far ahead this person is and how barely discernible their energy and what they're actually doing here is. It's very powerful and it's very intangible, but I feel like that person to me is extremely tangible, but it feels intangible to grasp it in a concept that makes sense logically. So let me know in the comments if you're able to attune to this. I'm sure that all of you are, otherwise it wouldn't be coming through like this and I wouldn't be asked to give such in-depth, itty-bitty, nitty-gritty details about it. Anyways, so as this person takes a step forward and creates this new landscape, all these new energetic timelines suddenly become consciously accessible and available to those who are creators, sovereign creators, creating their own world, sovereign energy, self-empowered, self-mastered, and then they are able to begin to access all these timelines. Now, I say it's just one person at the forefront. That's because I'm attuning to this person specifically, but I'm also being told to share there are others who are also at forefronts, who are there's one for every soul powder group think that leads the way for that soul pod in this way, making new timelines accessible and consciously possible for them to attune to. So yes, I'm attuning to this one person, but there are multiple people who are in that position for different soul pods I'm hearing in different cultures, in different countries, for different purposes and for different reasons. And they are all connected and creating forwards. But there's a lot of darkness surrounding them. And I don't mean darkness, shadow, like heaviness or anything like that. I'm hearing Kali says, it is shrouded in mystery. After all, the timekeeper does experience a chaos, the sandstorms, things not making sense when we shift time. Go back to the follow the leader card where the time is in the tree. The timekeeper's chosen created reality has already begun and is starting to unfold. The manifestation has already commenced. This is why we are bringing forward the person at the front of the line, the person who is so far ahead. There is no need to identify that soul, but rather it is important for some souls that they know that that person is there ahead of them, that there is multiple things at play in the vastness of creation that is occurring for this new era, this new earth, and the opening to the fifth dimensional and the other multidimensional, interdimensional layers and fields. Interesting. This is a fascinating message, friends. I love when all this comes together, the bigger picture, right? Interesting. So they're not the only one. They're not the only one doing it, but there's one for different soul pods. And I say soul pod with a lightness of energy and a flexibility to it as well. I say this because some soul pods are huge, like take up a quarter of the collective. That's the truth. All right, beautiful souls. I had to start. all kinds of things going on here. Anyways, I'm going to put one last card to close this out because we are not done with this energy. We're not done with this thread. This is just the beginning is what I'm hearing. This is just the beginning. So I'm going to, one last card. Wouldn't you know, it's the commitment card. Wow, I did not expect that card to be the card that closed this out. Like, I know it looks like a person's hand, two hands coming together. Oh, there's the come together card again. And two hands coming together, but I'm just being illuminated there that it's the human form, like the smaller self, and the spiritual hand, which is the higher self, which are merging to bring heaven into form. And that's the commitment that some of you have made. Like, that's your soul blueprint commitment. I also want to say, if you look really close into that card, there's a star in that person's hand, meaning your star lineage is your higher self who is emerging with your smaller self so that you are a living, breathing embodiment as a creator of the essence or the energy of heavens, or your consciousness choice for heaven on earth is now in form. The spiritual energy is coming into form. The star seed lineage is activated in the physical body, a walking, talking stardust, a breathing, living embodiment of heavenly essence and energy. Because you do not meet heaven. Heaven meets you when you are ready, says the timekeeper, or Yuga Kali, signaling the timing, the time has come or the time has changed. That you are ready to build your heaven on earth in its form, because you are the form that creates the form. I'm not even going to pull another card, but one flew out here. Last one, friends. Flying. So, there's so much beauty and symbolism to this card. For those of you, I don't know why I feel like I need to reference the deck that this is from. It's the Enchanted Map Oracle. I feel like I said it before earlier, but I'll say it again. It's the Enchanted Map by Colette Baron Reed. It's my favorite deck, my absolute favorite deck, because it's the no bullshit deck. The no bullshit deck, that's what we call it, the no BS. But notice the labyrinth underneath, and look at the stardust underneath the, I want to say the pony, which is weird. I would never call it that, but the horse. And notice the horse has wings, perhaps a unicorn or a Pegasus. Notice the cherry blossoms around it. And notice it's a card number 20. That is significant for somebody on here, 20. There's also a phoenix, a hummingbird that looks like a phoenix. You won't be able to see this, it's so teeny tiny. A hummingbird that looks like a phoenix, and there's some autumn leaves that it's leaving behind. And the cherry blossoms, or the star anise flower, as I'm getting referenced specifically for, a star anise flower that's blooming in the branches high in the sky to be flying. And there's bubbles, and those bubbles represent, oh, they represent a lot. I'm not going to go there. There's also a star with a pearl in it. Side note, these are just confirmations for somebody on here, and maybe one of the confirmations is yours. Maybe all of them are yours. I don't know. But friends, I'm going to leave it at that because this channel went woo all over, and I love that it went all over because it went all over in places that have great and deep meaning. So let me know if this resonated for you in the comments. I would love to hear if you're in that experience of doing the quantum leap and sensing the past and also sensing the future. Maybe you've perceived this energy in front of you, and that's why it's come through so clearly, just to affirm or confirm for some of you your intuitive knowings, to ensure that you know that it is tangible and it is real, even if it's not in the form yet. So I will leave that with you, beautiful souls. If you wish to connect with me, you can find me on my website, erinchandler.com. I will place a link for that in the video description box below if you want to do a private session with your own guides and loved ones, or if you want to take one of our courses. This is the month of June, so just a reminder, if you've been pondering on taking one of my courses, whether it's the Crafting Your 5D Blueprint, Working Through the Dimensions, the 21-day Spiritual Expansion, Meditative Journey and Activation, perhaps you are wanting to move and embody the goddess within you and unleash your divine feminine power, whatever course it is you choose to do, they're all 50% off for the month of June only to celebrate my daughter Ava's birthday. So a blessing that I've received from her is what I am sharing with you. So feel free to check that out. The link for that is in the video description box below, and I'll see you on the next video.